Hey everybody, welcome back to Final Trade. I just wanted to beat this dead horse one last time over the effect of fixed costs when you're making bets in the marketplace. And what I've done here is I've notionally set up 5 different bets. So here's one that is a 35-cent single card, about a dollar, $10, $100, and $1,000 bets. And so what I've said is, what are the market fees going to be to sell these? And what I've used for this is 10% plus 30 cents, which is kind of close to what both eBay and TCG Player charge. And so the market fee here is calculated as that 30 cents plus 10% of the future value, which I put here, which we're going to say is what you sell for. And I'll come back to how we've calculated these because that's the important part. And then I've just calculated what is the market fee as a percentage of the basis cost. And then I said, what are reasonable shipping costs for these kind of items? Now, if you have, a cheap single 75-cent shipping cost is pretty reasonable between the postage and the top loader. And the same for a $1 and a $10 item. They're probably still going to be singles. When you get to $100 items, you're probably talking about things like a booster box of cards. And so, 350 may be a little generous. It may be closer to $5 or $6, but that won't change calculations a lot. And if it were a $100 single, 350 would still be reasonable. Again, this is a matter of whether or not the shipping weight is over or under 1 pound in the US, which is kind of that dividing line. Once you go over 1 pound with USPS, your shipping costs just about double. I mean, it goes way up at the 1 pound mark. And if you're shipping a $1,000 or in this case, $2,200 after it's appreciated, $2,200 item, about $20 is reasonable for signature confirmation, tracking, packaging, etc. So those are just kind of notionally chosen. And then I said, what is the shipping cost as a percentage of your basis cost? Just to kind of demonstrate how these cheap items get wrecked by the fixed costs of shipping and market fees. And then I said, okay, for each of these, what we want to try to do is double our money, because there's this weird investor psychology quirk where people love doubling their money for some reason. And it's not unique to TCG investing. It's every type of investing. People just like the idea of doubling their money. And it's weird how they will obsess over that and not think about how long it's taking them to double their money, but it is what it is. So what I've done is I've said, okay, for each of these situations, how much must the item go to in price for you to double your money? And so for you to sell the item at the future value, subtract out your basis costs, subtract out your market fees, subtract out your shipping costs, and have left over as profit an amount of money equal to your original basis cost, what must that future value become? And then I've basically solved for it for all 5 of these scenarios. And down here, what I've done is I've said, well, what's the required appreciation of the item in order for you to realize that doubling of your original investment? And as you see, those fixed costs that wreck all these tiny, tiny bets, you have to have the item increase 556% in cost, in market value, in order for you to double your money when you're talking about a giant stack full of junk 35-cent singles. And even when you come up to dollar singles, they're still cheap junk, and you still need the price to go up 339% for you to double your money. Now, as you start getting into, say, $10 cards, which, I mean, that's the absolute minimum I would ever say it's worth you even thinking about taking a position on anything, is this kind of $10 mark. Okay, for you to double your money, the price only needs to come up to 234% of the original cost. So it needs to increase from $10 to $23.39, and then you can pay your market fees, your shipping costs, and you'll have $10 of profit left over. But what you see is, as you get up to even more valuable items, the amount, it levels off. And so the difference between these 3 is really negligible. And so if you wanted to gamble with huge stacks of cards, maybe $10 is about the minimum you would want to do it. Now, this doesn't take into account the variability of the bets, the chances of any of these things actually going up. Betting on modern singles is always a poor bet just because of the nature of modern singles and WotC's policies, where betting on sealed product is a much safer bet. But what you can see here is these cheap specs that people like to do on the MTG Finance subreddit, they really have to go to the moon in order to simply double your money. And if you're talking about higher value things, you don't have to increase very much more than doubling the market value in order for you to double your money. Because again, those fixed costs of shipping and market fees are a much smaller percentage of your basis cost than they were when you're dealing with 35-cent cards. And so this was kind of a slightly different take on the previous spreadsheet video I did on these, but I just wanted to show that in the case of doubling your money, which is what so many people are oddly obsessed with, what do you actually need the market value to go to accomplish that? And as you can see, it's always better to just invest in the higher quality assets that are worth more, so the fixed fees don't weigh you down. So remember, stay away from MTG Finance specs. They're always a bad idea. You might as well go to the casino or hit the gas station and buy a lottery ticket. So if you like this kind of thing, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.